Hey everyone, I'm Mike from theparkprodigy.com, and on today's video, I'm over in Universal Studios Florida, and we are going to break down the most important tips and tricks when coming to Universal Studios Florida, but specifically really because of this little land right behind me, DreamWorks Land, which is now open here in the park. So I've done a video like this in 2023. I am recording this video in 2024. The main reason I'm recording this video is because there is so much new going on, specifically in this park, that we wanted to just make sure we do have the most up-to-date tips and tricks, and you'll see I'm probably going to talk about DreamWorks Land at some point in this video. So if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you want to make sure you are as prepared as possible to have as much fun as possible, just be sure to stick around until the end of this video. As always, I'm very excited, so let's go get started. All right, thank you guys again so much for checking out this video. Like I said, we are about to break down the best tips and tricks here in Universal Studios Florida. So if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you do need more videos and help like this, just be sure to hit that subscribe button, as I have a lot more similar videos coming out in the coming weeks that I'm here in the parks creating. So let's jump right in. And this is an oldie but a goodie, but one of my favorite things that I love to do here at Universal Studios Florida, specifically over Islands of Adventure, is to take advantage of rope dropping or early park admission. I'm not saying I don't love early park admission in Islands of Adventure, but what I really how I feel about this is I always feel like Islands of Adventure is the most popular park, so it gets all the attention and the crowds, really, specifically in the morning when they do have early admission, which is almost always at this point in time. So what I love to do is I feel like you can get that much more done here in Universal Studios Florida compared to Islands of Adventure, especially if you are trying to rope drop or show up for early park admission when they have it. Now, you can see behind me, I'm in Diagon Alley. It's pretty crowded at this point in time, but when you come for early park admission or even rope dropping early in the morning, it's really not as crowded and you'll get a ton done. You'll get so many pictures with Diagon Alley empty. The dragon's getting ready to breathe fire, I believe. But again, there's one main ride here in Universal Studios Florida, which is Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. And you'll see the reason why I suggest this is if you come back here, you get on Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, then let's say you even go over to DreamWorks Land, and you'll just kind of be able to get the most popular rides out of the way, really rope dropping as early as possible, and your whole day will be set up that much better. So that's kind of where I'm starting. Don't forget, even if it's not early park admission, don't sleep on coming and rope dropping, which is showing up at park opening for Universal Studios Florida. All right, so the next tip and trick here in Universal Studios Florida, and I would say if you're coming specifically for the Wizarding World of Harry Potter and you know you're gonna upgrade and you're gonna possibly get the interactive wand, my honest opinion is this is the best park to use the interactive wand at, essentially just because over in Hogsmeade Village, there's 3 main rides, right? There's just so much going on at that park. Like I said, typically for early park admission, it's gonna be busier. That really is like the park when it comes to the Wizarding World, in my opinion, just because of Hagrid's and how popular that ride is. So what I'm kind of suggesting is this is really the park for you to kind of enjoy, use your interactive wand. There's only one main ride here. Of course, we do have the Fire Breathing Dragon, but as you can see, there's just so much more shopping and snacks and stuff like that here in this park compared to over in Hogsmeade. So that's why I would suggest if you are going to do the interactive wand, plan to spend a significant amount of time in this park. So for this next tip and trick, I would say understand how the Universal Express Pass works. Now, if you go back and watch some of my old videos, I actually said that Universal Studios Florida might be the best park to use the Express Pass on, because at that point in time, over in Islands of Adventure, the Velocicoaster and Hagrid's were not included with the Express Pass. However, that has now changed. The Velocicoaster is now part of the Express Pass. Hagrid's is still not. So when it comes to Universal Studios Florida, what I would say is if you do plan to rope drop and take advantage of early park admission, you might not need the Express Pass in this park because you'll be able to just get that much more done in the morning. And then, like I said, then you get the heavy hitters out of the way. Really, I would try to get, if it's just rope drop, I would try to get Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, The Mummy, and then Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket out of the way too. An additional tip and trick for Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket is if you get it out of the way in the morning, you'll see here in Florida it pretty much rains every single afternoon, and that might, of course, put a damper on going on that ride. So it's tip and trick within the tip and trick. But if you get those 3 rides out of the way as early as possible, I don't really see any reason why you can't get everything done here at Universal Studios Florida without needing the Universal Express Pass. Now, of course, if you just don't like to wait online, then yeah, you can go and check it out, especially if you stay at one of the premier resorts and you get it for free. But that's just another great tip and trick to keep in mind to kind of go the first one that we started with. So another one of the best tips and tricks here at Universal Studios Florida, this one really can be used for both, so I'm kind of cheating, but that would be if you're trying to save money, don't forget that Universal does have the Coke Freestyle Cup. Essentially, it's right around $18.99, but then you do get essentially, free refills of your favorite soda throughout your trip here, right? And then you can also add extra days. Let's say if you're coming back in the future, you can add extra days once you get down here to the parks for about $12.99, I believe, from what they told me. The other thing to keep in mind too is from a money saving standpoint, the refillable popcorn bucket. So just like over in Disney, you'll be able to pretty much pay for the popcorn bucket up front. The Minion one behind me, I don't know if you guys could see the banana popcorn, which I actually did a food review on. It's not as bad as you would think the banana popcorn would be, but they have a Minion bucket here, which is actually more expensive than some of the buckets over in Disney. The Minion bucket was $30, but the regular refillable popcorn bucket's not going to be that much, and you'll see, especially if you're going to be snacking on popcorn throughout your stay here, it could be a great way to save money, so don't sleep on that. Be sure to check them out when you get down here. Okay, so for this next tip and trick, I would say don't forget to mobile order when here in the parks, but really taking it one step further, you're gonna have to mobile order for some of the restaurants here in the parks now. Now, one of them in particular is the Minion Cafe right behind me, but there's some really, really cool Minion food spots, I guess, as we're kind of talking about food. We also have the popsicles right there, and then the Minion Cafe right over there. So again, really that's a Minion Bakery right over there. So there are some really, really fun and really, really good food options here. What I would say is over in the Minion Cafe, from what I've actually tried so far, the Meatball Mountain was one of my favorites. Now, I come from New York. If you watch my channel, you already know that. It was essentially a calzone with meatballs in it. Was it the best calzone I ever had? No, of course not. But I felt like for the price, it was a really, really big size calzone, and you could definitely split it between two people easily and be full. Now, the other thing that I really, really enjoyed over there was the Minion Swiss roll, and that was essentially a vanilla cake with pineapple, whipped cream, passion fruit, and a chocolate shell. So those are really my two favorites so far. Also, I already spoke about this on one of my other videos. The ice pops over here, the banana ice pop from the ice pop store was definitely top 5 snacks for me personally. I haven't tried that much from the bakery over there, but there's a lot of really, really fun and really good snacks in there as well. So keep that in mind. Download the Universal Orlando app. Be sure that you're ready to mobile order once you get down here. So this next tip and trick, I actually just realized I already gave it in this video, but it's on the list, so we're gonna give it again. And that would be, if you're coming to Universal Studios Florida and you're trying to do roller coaster stuff like that, or really the main one, which is Hollywood Rip Ride Rocket at this point in time, be sure to come in the morning and get it out of the way as early as possible, because again, this really is the main ride that would be shut down if it does rain. Now, taking it one step further, if it is going to rain, of course, in Florida, it's going to rain at some point, but this is the best park to visit in the rain, in my opinion, just because over in Islands of Adventure has more rides outdoors. This park specifically, at this point in time, not as many outdoors. So keep that in mind. Also, if you're visiting with older guests, like when I come down with my family, my aunts and uncles, stuff like that, we'll typically come to this park just because there's more shows. And even the other rides like Minions up at the front, Despicable Me, and then over Jimmy Fallon, I always say those rides get me a little nauseous, but they're still better than some of the other attractions over in Islands of Adventure for older guests or just guests who aren't adrenaline junkies. So just keep that in mind as you're visiting the parks. So another important tip and trick when coming to this park is, just like it might sound, Universal Studios Florida, the studios part, this park really is all about the movies. So there's some really, really amazing shows here. My favorite, and I think the unanimous best in the park, is going to be the Born Stuntacular right behind me. There are some, 2 new interactive experiences / shows over in the new DreamWorks land, which we will talk about in a few, but also we still have animal actors here in the parks, and then of course the horror makeup show is another classic. So just be mindful of that, especially if you're coming for Halloween Horror Nights. There's also typically there's 2 shows for you to enjoy during Horror Nights. Last year's show really was the star of the show. But just keep that in mind, and again, it ties into some of the other tips and tricks why this is a better park for older guests or guests who might not like rides just as much. So for this next tip and trick, I would say don't forget that Universal Studios Florida does have a tribute store. Essentially what that is it's very special merchandise, and Universal will have a different one throughout, different ones, I should say, throughout the year. So right now, the tribute store is right behind me, and what they did was they kind of brought back a nostalgic vibe, and there's essentially it's a VHS, old school movie rental, but there's also merchandise like from our favorite films like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Jaws, just to name a few. Also, one of the other things I really love is they have some really, really good desserts in there, like specially themed desserts after some of your favorite movies. But again, that is in Universal Studios Florida. So you walk down that street and it's over here to the left. And also they typically have a Halloween Horror Nights one, Mardi Gras, like all that good stuff. So just keep that in mind, especially if you are a merchandise junkie. So another tip and trick, or really just something to keep in mind specifically at this park compared to Islands of Adventure, and I know I've mentioned this in the past, but this really is the park where most of the events will go on throughout the year, right? So specifically Halloween Horror Nights is the most popular one. It gets all of the, the fame and glory, and for good reason. It's an amazing event. So if you're visiting between, September really through October, a couple days into November, just be sure to keep that in mind, especially if you like Halloween. You might really enjoy the Halloween Horror Night event. But also Universal Mardi Gras, they also do Christmas decorations and celebration here in the park, and they have a Macy's parade, and you'll see we might talk about a parade again in a bit here in this park. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have spoke about that already before. So an additional tip and trick on top of the tip and trick is not only when it comes to shows, but Universal Orlando actually has a brand new parade coming in July of 2024. So again, if you're visiting with young kids, that's another really, really cool thing that they have going on here in the park. So be sure to keep that in mind. But again, Christmas, they do celebrate and decorate for Christmas here. So there's just a lot of really fun stuff specifically going on in this park compared to over in Islands of Adventure. It's getting tougher. If you've been watching my channel, you know that sometimes I like to just do the videos on the fly, but haven't recorded in the summer in a while. I'm kind of out of breath walking in this hot Florida heat. All right, so tip and trick number 3, and this is one of the new things going on here in Universal Studios Florida, and it's going on in this lagoon right behind me, and that is Universal has a brand new nighttime show called Sensational, which, like I said, is in the lagoon. And the reason why it had to be on this list is it's an amazing show. I was lucky enough to see it, and it does such a great job of mixing, of course, the water kind of dynamics that we do have and we've seen in the past from Universal Studios. However, it does have some of our favorite films in it, has some amazing scenes from our films that they kind of project on the water and the buildings behind me. But you'll see right up there is a very important thing to keep in mind, as it does have over 600 drones that are part of this show. And the show is really amazing. It's over 20 minutes long, has some of our favorite films, like I said, from Jaws, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, the Harry Potter movies, Minions. It has How to Train a Dragon, has some of the classic monster movies, Fast and the Furious. Really, they did such a great job of mixing, old movies and the new movies for, the kids. What I would say too is be sure to arrive early. You'll see this is the bottom level. What I actually did opening night, and you see those poles right there, I got stuck behind one of the poles. But what I didn't realize is that to get a great view, there's actually 3 levels. So you can arrive early and you can go and kind of head down there, but you want to just make sure that you avoid the pole. And then up here too, as you can see, there's actually other levels up here. So here's another level, and then up top, you'll also get a really, really great view. So just keep that in mind. As of the time of the recording of this video, it's also summer of 2024. So what I would say is for the next couple months, especially, really up until Epic opens probably, this show is gonna be very, very popular. And if I had to guess, a lot of families probably will show up and try to grab a spot early. So like I said, keep that in mind, and I would definitely show up at least a half hour before to make sure you get a great spot. All right, so the next tip and trick here at Universal Studios Florida, and I would say don't sleep on the snacks here in DreamWorks Land. So yes, we finally got into DreamWorks Land, and we do have the Swamp Snack stand right behind me. I've already had the essentially waffle pizza that they have. Go and check out my Instagram. I did do a full food review on there, but essentially the menu here in Shrek Swamp is going to be the Shreksel with green cheese sauce, the Swamp Dog, Far Far Away Waffle, Mud Puddle Pudding, Frozen Ogre, and the Chonky Donkey. The Chonky Donkey is a chocolate ice pop, the Frozen Ogre is a sour ice pop, the Mud Puddle Pudding, self-explanatory, the Far Far Waffle is the pizza, Swamp Dog again, and then the Shretzel is a pretzel. So those are just some of the really, really fun treats going on here, but also they do have Trolls ice cream. There's just a lot of really, really fun and cool stuff to snack on here in DreamWorks Land, so be sure you come with your appetite. Okay, so tip and trick number 1 is essentially if you're coming to Universal Studios Florida with young kids, you have to come back to DreamWorks Land, as there is a ton for young kids to do, but specifically there's going to be a ton of play areas for them to go and run off some steam. Keep in mind though, the tip and trick on top of that would be that there are a lot of a lot of them is like essentially water, like water stuff. So they are gonna get wet, so keep that in mind. But again, in Florida, depending on the time of year you come, you might not mind that. But there's also a brand new ride, the Troller Coaster. Then there's a brand new kind of interactive dance show, which is DreamWorks Imagination Celebration. We also have Poe's Kung Fu Training Camp in the back. There's also water attractions back there and a little bit of an interactive show. Then we have Poppy's Playground, Shrek Swamp for Little Ogres, which is right there. Also, the Shrek Meet and Greet is back, which is really, really popular. Another reason why I did have to put this on the video. Then we have Mom and Luna's Feline Fiesta, which is essentially right over here. It's kind of like a, I don't know if you guys can see, kind of like an interactive game. But as you can see, there's a lot of brand new stuff going on. I already spoke about the snacks, which is what I'm probably most excited for. But keep that in mind, especially if you thought you've been to Universal Florida in the past. There is a whole brand new land here in the parks. So that is it, everyone. Those are essentially the best tips and tricks when visiting Universal Studios Florida. As you can see, there's a lot of brand new stuff going on here in the park. I'm actually hanging out, waiting for that brand new nighttime show. But I did hope that you found this video helpful, and if you are in the process of planning a Universal Orlando trip and you do need a little additional help, just be sure to go check out our website, theparkprodigy.com. And as a thank you for sticking around all the way till the end of this video, I do have a special promo code you can go use on some discounted theme park tickets or a Universal Orlando vacation package, and that promo code is going to be YouTube25. And if you do need additional help, more of a concierge type service, a little bit more, kind of personal touch, just be sure you can reach out, and I and my team can personally help you. There's essentially a questionnaire down below. You fill it out, and we will send you a custom Universal Orlando vacation package for you to take a look at. But I think that's all the time we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great night.